Hi, friends. Bex here. I just wanted to jump in real quick with an ad of sorts. It's not the type of ad I'm being paid to deliver to you, and it's also not the type of thing where I'm actually asking you to purchase anything. I want to tell you really quickly about Humbly. It's a new podcatcher, and it's really cool. So I actually reached out to the creator of the app. I think I was talking to the creator directly, which is very awesome. I reached out to him to ask if I could talk about it on our podcast because I like it. It's a podcatcher. It's spelled Humbly, and it works just like any other podcatcher, and it has all your favorite podcasts on it, including this one already. I listen to Old Gods of Appalachia and Bim Bam and all that stuff. But what's going to happen once it's all set up and running, because like the podcatcher bit is up and running, but they're working on this last little bit, and I'm very excited for it, is they're going to play a pre-roll ad before every episode you listen to, and the revenue from that ad will actually be donated to charity, and you get to like choose which cause or charity you want to donate to, which is really cool, and it tracks your progress, like, hey, you've saved up this much for charity and stuff like that. And it lets you like share that in socials and stuff. And I'm very excited for that. So I just genuinely like this app, and I hope you can just hear the sincerity there. And it's free, and I'm not being paid to tell you it's free. So, win-win or something like that. So yeah, download Humbly from your app store and start loading it up with the podcasts you like, and start thinking about which charities and causes you want to support. And that'll be fun. And hopefully you'll listen to us on there. Thanks for listening, friends. Now back to your show. Hi, friends. Welcome back to Not Again, the podcast that brings college-level analysis to preschool-level content. I am your getting over a cold host, Rebecca.
I'm your other host, Alan.
And today we are talking about WALL-E. I know in the last episode I said we are going to talk about Kung Fu Panda with a guest, but scheduling issues, as I tweeted, led us to need to just reverse that, basically. So we're going to talk about WALL-E today, and then I'm kicking Alan out of the house for 2 weeks, because apparently if we don't podcast together, we can't live together.
I mean, we do it every week, so I guess we haven't tested it.
Yeah. And I'm going to have our good friend Adele come in to talk about Kung Fu Panda. I have now watched Kung Fu Panda 2 twice, and I have thoughts. But for now, we're going to talk about WALL-E. But we are not going to talk about it in our typical format of going plot point by plot point. And there's certain analyses we're going to avoid, I think, because they've already been done. And I would encourage you to go on YouTube and find film. Is it Film Theory? What is that?
I don't know. There's a couple different ones that review these sorts of things, but they're all kind of on similar lines. And so you can pick up a couple ones, and you'll see kind of the mainline criticisms that people have. I think we have other ones.
Yeah, I mean, I'll Google it as I'm talking. But basically, there have been some theories about... There it is. Oh, it is called Film Theory. Okay. So Film Theory has done this thing about WALL-E's unseen cannibalism. And there's tons of other stuff as well that they have done and other people have done. Basically, we're going to avoid talking about how WALL-E is probably the Matrix and all of that stuff because people have already done it. No, we're going to talk about our stuff. So we have a list of talking points that we want to talk about, and we're just going to talk about those in no particular order or with like going over plot point by plot point. However, on the off chance that you have not seen WALL-E, it is a Disney Pixar movie about a little robot not named WALL-E. He is a WALL-E. And that is the name of the type of robot he is. And WALL-E stands for Waste Allocation Load Lifter Earth Class. And that's important to specify because later we'll be talking about WALL-As. I always thought they were WALL-Rs because block letter A's and block letter R's apparently look very similar to my brain, but it's WALL-A in the spaceship, and that stands for the same thing, but the A stands for Axiom class because the spaceship's called an Axiom. Okay, so this little robot, his job is to basically, in a very heavy-handed manner, clean up a bunch of trash on Earth because human beings trashed Earth, and I can't imagine what the message of this movie is.
They are very clear that there's I think one of the first lines of the movie is, "Too much waste, find more space, up in space."
Yeah, it's a good, you imitated the tone really well.
Yeah, I was hoping to. But yeah, so one of the first audible English language things in the movie is, there is a lot of waste.
Yeah, so let's get this out of the way. We already found the lesson. The lesson is we pollute too much and we are also glued to screens and we don't appreciate what we have. And if we don't change our act soon, Walmart's going to take over the world. And also we're going to have to leave because our earth is going to be too polluted to live on. There's the message. It's shoved down your throat. And Wally's a robot who is aware enough to have feelings, and he watches, this is very important, he found an old VHS tape of Hello Dolly with Barbra Streisand, and he's dead now. Walter Matthau, there we go. Walter Matthau. And it's not like perfectly functioning, so it basically plays the same sections of the movie over and over again for him, and this is going to become important later. If you haven't seen Hello Dolly, I'm not summarizing that one for you. Good luck. I have seen it, though, many times, because we were a musical family. Not in that we could sing, we're terrible singers, but that we liked watching musicals. So anyway, he's lonely. He makes a cockroach friend. Then a ship comes down to Earth and releases a sexy, white, clean-looking, ostensibly female robot. We'll get into that too. And he falls instantly in love. And then she has to leave because she found a plant. And he grabs onto the spaceship and follows after her. And the rest of the shenanigans happen on a space cruise ship called the Axiom, where people are incredibly overweight and always sitting in chairs, and they have forgotten what life was like on Earth because it's been 700 years since human beings left Earth to the Wallies to clean up, and their only goal really is to get this plant into a machine in the ship to get the ship to go back to Earth.
Yeah, I'd also like to point out that this might have been an on-purpose social commentary. Wall-E is the only remaining Wall-E that we ever see, other than the Wall-A's, right? All the other Wall-E's on Earth are defunct.
Right, the only remaining functional Wall-E.
The only remaining functional Wall-E. So everything he's doing is sort of in vain, because he's the only one and he's tiny.
Yeah.
But also, all of the other robots seem very, much more advanced than he. And I know they had 700 years in space, but how much can you advance technologically on a spaceship alone in the universe?
That's true.
And so it might have just been for show. Like, they didn't really care. They were just like, here, have some robots. They'll clean up. We're leaving.
Yeah. We'll save the best technology for later. Maybe. So that's basically it. Is they get the plant in and they eventually go back to Earth, and we'll talk about that in our talking points. But one of the things, I'm going to start with this. I don't have it on our list, which is why I'm going to start with it. The driving force behind their getting this plant into the plant identifier machine in the ship that auto sets the ship on a course to Earth is predicated upon the fact that the ship went far away from Earth. And two things. One, the initial project was to get Earth cleaned up in 5 years and then go back. So why did they go far away from Earth? They could have just orbited it. And then if the idea, the second thing is if the idea was to give people something pretty to look at, space is pretty. Do they really have to go on an actual cruise? Just circle Earth, stay close by. And then when you need to return, there's no need to autopilot it through warp speed. You're just okay, 2 minutes and we'll land. It's weird that they left Earth.
Yeah, we have a lot of problems with this because, the whole spaceship concept, a spaceship has to have, a self-contained life support system by nature. It's in space. You can just build one of those on land.
Okay, so we're doing this one first.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
You can build one of those in the Arizona desert or something. I think there was a Pauly Shore movie about that. Called Biodome. Don't watch it. And that's so much easier than trying to put... there might be a reason to, it's a cruise. You'll bring your family. It'll be fun. It's an adventure. Give us your money. But way harder, way more expensive, way more difficult to put people on a spaceship than to just build a safe place.
Going into space requires training. That's what all of the montages show. And returning from space also causes a lot of issues. It's a lot easier to stay on Earth. Essentially what they have is a giant floating biodome, right? The kind of thing where it's outside is everything is terrible, but within these walls, everything is regulated. We have our own sustainable resources, which we'll get to. And so why put that in space? Just build some domes for humanity using the resources you would use for these space cruise ships, and then have the Wallies work around those domes. Again, because they don't know that it's not going to work, right? They aren't aware that it's going to be a failed plan to clean up the Earth at this time when they're building these spaceships. So we're operating under the assumption that they are thinking that this is all going to be fine in a few years. And if that's the case, their first step shouldn't be space, because that takes so much more effort and resources and money and everything else.
And there's still a lot to say there, because there's the class system, there's the people who are relegated behind, and there's the people who get to go to the domes, and there's the stratification of society and all that. So there's still a ton to talk about in that situation, other than making it space.
Yeah. I think it's time for our obligatory bringing up of Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I was thinking of Ba Sing Se with the walls of the city and how, different social classes lived within different sections of the city. And yeah, the point is that it can be done. Like, the message that they wanted to send could have been sent without space. And it makes no sense for them to take all those resources and add the complication of taking those resources
the extra
and putting
cost.
it's the extra step, really, of putting that in space. They could have just been Jetsons. The Jetsons, the 1950s television show that was about the future but was still clearly the 1950s.
Yeah, it was just Flintstones in space.
Right. They lived in biodomes that were elevated above the Earth. They could have done something Jetson style, right? So going directly to space was a dumb idea. And that covers the topic on our list, building domes. So that was that. I'm curious about jelly piles. Why did I write jelly piles? Is it because of when they would come back to Earth?
Yes.
Okay. So
that is why you wrote jelly piles.
All right.
Another problem with space, and this is not something that they got through with technology or said that it didn't matter because they had super protein pills or something. They specifically said you have lost bone density due to your time in space.
Yeah, actually, now this might lead to a whole other tangent, but what would happen to an entire population of human beings that had never been on Earth, born and raised in space? What would that change their biology?
Absolutely. You can find videos of Russian cosmonauts coming off of space stations after being up there for a couple months, and they are kind of jelly piles. They have trouble standing.
Right, yeah, the muscle, because your muscles still have to get used to be. So 700-ish years, that's about 7 generations, right? Not enough time for full evolution. Well, if 100 years, not,
A generation is usually 25 years, so it's...
Okay, well, sorry, I guess by generation I meant if a child was born and would die about 100 years, right? So
it's a long time,
right?
But it's not even evolution; it's just that your body needs that.
I'm just saying that the babies born by year 650 are going to be pretty far detached from the babies born in year 5, and the fact that they even So there's a couple things that we have to talk about. As much as we say this is a PG podcast, the joke is that we cover PG content, so we should be PG. However, we are actually hoping to talk to adults here. If you have kids in the room, cool, I guess. I hope they learn something or find us amusing, but you might want to send them out for this episode. We are going to talk about babies and where they come from. So we'll just give you a second to shoo them out of the room, go tell them to go play outside.
We're not going to use any strong language or anything, just that... There are babies in this movie, and we have questions.
We have questions, yes. And also Wallies, believe it or not, stuff we have to talk about. So I am going to use the word sex sometimes, and I hope that does not hurt your delicate ears, fair listeners, because we have to talk about sex. Here we go. These people are already jelly piles. Look, I don't want to fat shame anybody, but the fact of the matter is that these caricatures of human beings have been made into human jelly beans that never get up. Why are there babies on this ship? How are there babies on this ship?
They do make a pretty good job in the movie saying that it isn't like an individual responsibility failure on anybody's part. This is everybody. This is the way the ship is set up. This is the way the society is set up around them. They're not It's not like somebody decided to eat Doritos and never get out of bed or something like that. They are a victim of the axiom and the society and all that sort of stuff.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Oh, never mind. I guess what I was trying to say is that
I wasn't telling you to cut it out. I was just telling you to explain yourself.
The individuals on the ship, it's not a moral failing on their part.
Okay, yes. It's not, we're not blaming them for being fat.
Right.
Which is how it happens in a lot of movies and TV shows is there's one fat character, their entire character arc is about being fat, and they're incredibly made fun of for being fat. No, every person is on an equal playing field. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
They're all fat.
And it's all for the same reason. They're in space. They're put in these carts. They're entertained by the robots. They're doing all like it's not a you didn't pull yourself up by your bootstraps this morning and whatever. Like,
it is a little bit in that it's supposed to represent the slovenly laziness that we would. It's satire, so it's like this. Look into your future. This is what you'll become if you become too dependent on technology and don't take any responsibility for yourself. It's a little bit that, but no one person is being fat shamed. And honestly, the fact that they have the two human characters falling in love and seeing each other as attractive, there isn't any explicit connection to fat being disgusting in that. There's one fat joke when, what's his name? He just died. Why am I talking about every actor that's died recently? Shelby, he plays the president. I gotta look him up. Anyway, I'll look him up. The president dude says, you may have lost some bone density. And in saying that, he shows them pictures of like them looking larger. But for the most part, it's not fat shaming. For the most part. Okay. But that being said, these human beings are not accustomed to getting up. To the point where when John Ratzenberger's character falls out of his chair, he is helpless. He needs help getting back into the chair. Wally shoves him back into it. So, how are these people, how are they making babies?
And
don't think about it too hard.
To the PG side, we see a very nice love story between two people, but it is definitely considered novel. It is new. It is different. This is not how these folk usually get together. And so they're doing fun things like splashing and playing in the water and looking longingly into each other's eyes and doing the sort of normal things that when people start to get together will start to do. We don't see that anywhere else. We're not seeing relationships forming in that way. We're seeing people look into screens and talk to each other. We're seeing that sort of thing, but we're not seeing any sort of closeness happening.
Mary, at the beginning, is actually looking for a relationship. She's talking to her friend about it, and they basically hint heavily. I don't know. It's not implied. It's pretty explicit. But they don't say like, this is how we do it. We just get to see as an audience that they do it in a kind of virtual dating program sort of way, like futuristicmatch.com. You find a picture and she was like, they're all the same. And so the dating probably happens virtually. When the screens are taken away from their faces, they aren't even aware that there's an outside world. So what you're saying is the courtship rituals that we are more familiar with of looking at each other and touching each other and saying hi and conversing, that's not how it's usually going. So these people are using a screen to match.com each other and then...
Right. The physical closeness required to create another generation is completely foreign to them.
Right. And we have how graphic should I, okay, I'm going to try to speak euphemistically. We've discussed possibly let's lead you there. There's a robot that combs their hair. There's a robot that dresses them. There's a robot that drives the ship. There's a robot that provides shade as an umbrella. There seem to be a lot of particularly specifically functioned robots on the Axiom.
Surprisingly intimate tasks like doing your nails and such.
So
makeup.
That's where we'll leave it.
Yeah, that's where we're going to leave that one.
We can't think of any other way that these people are procreating. His name is Fred Willard. I can't believe I forgot Fred Willard. I'm so sorry, Fred Willard.
I would have. Yeah, I moved on too quickly.
I distracted you by using his name in the movie, and that was my fault.
Oh right,
because his
said
name
Shelby.
I said Shelby. Yeah, because I was trying to like remember who plays Shelby Forthright, the president. In a brilliant satirical move, they made his last name Forthright. Get it? Because he's not. Like, I don't know.
But rest in peace. He was fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, he was the one who was talking about losing bone density. But back to that, when they get back to Earth, this will connect us to a different thing on our list. But to start with, to wrap that up, these people hadn't walked.
Yeah.
In their entire lives, it seems. They would be jelly piles.
They would be jelly piles.
They would not succeed.
And this, again, not a commentary on them. Like I said earlier, there are videos from people getting back from space, being in there for a long time, being on a space station. They have trouble standing sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's not because it's not because they're fat that they're gonna. No, it's I didn't mean to call them jelly piles for that reason.
Yeah.
It's because even going to space for like a month will mess you up.
Yeah,
and they've been there their entire lives. So for that reason, the transition would not be as easy as let's land on Earth and wobble around. Like their bodies would not be accustomed to it. Not everybody can be Goku increasing gravity by 9,000%, and his bones are just like, yeah, I love the muscles, and I don't know what I'm saying. I need water.
Yeah, a really stupid word for this that somebody coined like 10 years ago.
Tell me while I drink water.
Okay, well, it's called anti-fragility, because if you knock something over and it breaks, that's fragile, and if you knock something over and it doesn't break, that's robust. So you need a word for when you knock something over and it gets stronger. And so you need the stress of gravity in order to be stronger.
Huh.
So anyway.
That was interesting, honestly. So them being back on Earth leads us to this other point of it has been made very clear that the only thing left living on Earth is cockroaches, as is, cockroaches and Twinkies, those are the usual post-apocalyptic jokes, right? Twinkies last forever, cockroaches will outlive anything, etc. There are no animals. There are so few plants that there was just one plant, okay? Like, that was it. Those aren't gonna just spontaneously come back because these people care about the Earth now. The Earth is still toxic and covered in garbage, and their kumbayayas aren't going to, like, bring that back. The cows are gone. Yeah, the chickens are gone. The grass is gone.
I mean, technically, there was a first plant evolved from some sort of plankton or something, but it took like 10, or not 10, I know Earth history long enough this. It took 1 billion years or something.
Yeah. They can't really wait that long?
Yeah, they can't really wait that long.
They plant that little plant back in... That plant, by the way, which was out in space, so it's dead now, but whatever. They plant it in the ground, and later, I love the end title sequence where they kind of use ancient Egyptian drawings. Like they take you through the history of art as they show you the progression of this plant growing up and society rebuilding itself and whatever, as a kind of symbolism of, society starting over, following up on the symbolism, of course, of Wally and Eve being Adam and Eve, hence Eve's name being Eve, and this tree of knowledge being the central plot point, right? They have this tree.
There's when Eve accepts the plant into herself. I don't even know why we're calling her.
Yeah.
When accepts the plant into herself, it's a very womb-like situation.
Yes. Which is something we have to talk about.
Birthing, first woman sort of symbolism that is a little squicky.
Yes. So the point is that one plant, even if it grew in a month, would not sustain them. It's not a food plant, and there are no food animals, and the oxygen would not be breathable because there are no other plants to, regulate that. So it's not enough to just believe in yourselves. The Earth is too far gone. Go take the ship and do the dome idea now.
Or do it on Mars.
Yeah, go populate Mars, but
it's just as easy at this point.
Earth is done.
Fewer forks and blocks, but still.
Leave Earth to the Walmart. We are all become Walmart now.
I had sort of thought it more at Amazon, but maybe that's kind of my fresher eyes.
So that's something that we need to discuss as well. So it's called By and Large, which has a Walmart-y feel to me, especially since they've got these big shopping centers. And the whole satirical thing is that the CEO of By and Large is actually the president, that they're saying corporations own us, blah, blah, blah. But the nature of the omnipresence and ubiquity of this thing makes me think Amazon.
Well, maybe a merger, we can all get to that dystopia soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a race now between Disney, Google, Apple, and Amazon for who's going to be our overlords. So
yeah, and Disney made the movie, so
yeah. So I mean, Disney's kind of, I don't know if they realize how much they called themselves out, but whatever, or they don't care because they laughed all the way to the bank. But yeah, so the Earth is done. That takes care of jelly piles, building domes, and you can't repopulate the Earth after everything is dead on our list. The next thing we're going to talk about is the wall A's on the ship. This is something that is kind of more of a thing for you, so I'm just going to set up the plot part of it and then let you... This movie drags on too long, in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. One of the main plot points is that the autopilot is evil and has been ordered not to take the ship back to Earth at any point. Oh, spoiler alert, I guess. It's a really old movie. And because why, but whatever. He electrocutes Wally and shoves him down the garbage chute, and Eve goes after him. And in the garbage chute lets out into a giant space within the ship that is like Earth, filled with garbage. And like Earth, they have a Wall-E like machine. It's just bigger. So it's industrial size, like the size of a tank or larger. And these are the Wall A's. And they're doing the same thing that Wall-E did. To taking the trash, making giant cubes, ejecting those cubes into space. And that presents some danger because, when the airlock is open, bad things can happen. But there's so much trash and it's all getting shoved out of the ship. Why is this problematic?
I have several thoughts.
Yes.
So first off, the airlock is open a lot. Where are you getting more air? You don't have plants. 2, you're shoving a lot of stuff out into space. Where are you getting new stuff? If you were recycling everything, then why didn't you do that on Earth?
That's true. Oh, and sorry, I meant to point this out. So I am well aware that, and I mean, to be fair... because I'm a fan of Letterkenny, now every time I say to be fair, I want to do their thing, but I'm not going to. To be fair, they pretty smoothly introduce this. It's kind of a throwaway line. They're not hanging a lampshade on it. They just want us to know when the captain wakes up in the morning, we are introduced to the captain character. Otto is trying to tell him about the plant, and he says he has to do his regulation checks of the ship, which basically means his chair is going to move him from place to place on the ship, and he's going to check all the functions. And one of the functions is the regenerative food buffet, indicating that, oh, look, we don't have to worry about resources because we found a way to regenerate them. But... law of conservation.
Yeah, well, they're still and the bricks, because they're bigger wall
A's. Yeah.
The wall models.
Yes.
They are shoving enormous, I'm going to say, 10 meters by 10 meters blocks.
Nobody knows what a meter is.
Yeah, well, yards then, why not?
Thank you.
Speak
English.
Bricks of stuff just into space. All day, every day.
I think the point, by the way, is supposed to be look, they haven't learned their lesson. They can't stop creating garbage, But,
you could retcon some stuff. It's like, oh, they're mining for minerals. But
that would cover 2 problems, actually, because that would explain why they left Earth, right?
But you could mine for minerals in space and then bring them back to Earth.
Yes, I know. I'm just saying, remember when I was the ship, needed to go back to Earth as if it was really far away.
You're right.
Why was it really far away? Well, maybe it was really far away because they were mining for resources to turn
Vespine gas or whatever you need in space.
They're pulling in a dangerous.
Yeah. So, but it's just at one point towards the end of the movie, we see the entire population of the ship. And that's one wall R ejection. Whatever.
It's my fault that you say wall R. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wall A.
Yeah.
It's so there's not a big population. They are discarding so much junk, and it's where is it coming from? The airlock. My first point, the airlock. That's a lot of air, man.
Where's their oxygen?
Yeah, they don't have plants.
They have
one plant, and they just got here.
Oh no, that was to make water, I think. The Martian thing where he did some stuff with potatoes and then made a chemical reaction in water. But anyway, yeah. So there's no air, and then a lot of that garbage is metal, and it's kind of interesting because you'd think they wouldn't have a lot of extra metal going around. This is junk metal. No, it isn't. What? What are you talking about?
And of all the things, that's one of the more easier things to recycle. Just use Eve's laser beam to melt it into something else or something. I don't know.
Metal is recyclable and reusable and stuff. So
yeah.
But I guess it's supposed to drive home the point that they don't care to recycle because they don't care about the environment. Hammer home that lesson. But that just goes against logic if you're in space.
The environment on a spaceship is that much harder than the environment on Earth. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
They would all be dead because they wouldn't be reproducing and they would have used up all their oxygen in the first year. So that's that. And I accidentally saved the best for last, but I think that this is probably the best way to do it because it's going to take a while. Wally is an incel. And I only realized this from watching it so many times because Warren loves the robot. And he says, more robots, and then I have to put on Wall-E and hear that Hello Dolly song again, and it has made me realize something. First of all, for those who don't know, incel has a long and storied history, but the term stands for involuntary celibate. In other words, people who, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's people who believe they are owed sex. Basically, because that's their the biological function. Basically, men, for the most part, believe women owe them.
Yeah.
Or so. It's very squicky. And it's also kind of ties into this false idea of the friend zone, where if I am nice enough to her and hang around her long enough, she will realize that she should be in a relationship with me, kind of dealio. Or he will realize, right?
Yeah.
Women can be like this as well.
Lots of people can be in disparate levels of a relationship with somebody else. But classically, it is the guy who is hanging around hoping that they'll get noticed enough to just
the guy or Taylor Swift
wear them down.
Because Taylor Swift has the whole song about, like, how can you not realize that it's been me all along? I'm right here hanging on to you.
So it happens to everybody.
It happens to everybody, even Taylor Swift.
Gay, straight, whatever, right? Yeah. But it's
not healthy.
It's not healthy for anybody, and it's classically a guy hanging around a dude hanging around a girl.
But there's a couple things we have to break down here. Number one, the fact that we have gendered or sexed these robots at all.
Yes.
Why is Wall-E a boy? Why is Eve a girl? You talked to her earlier about her having a womb-like cavity in her stomach
for the plant.
And absolutely, but technically, so does Wall-E. He has a giant. So
but his is square.
His is square, right? Got it. Male robots have square wombs, but I'm just gonna move right past that, and I'm not gonna title the episode that because that would be the end of our show. But why? And then Otto has a male-ish voice, right? I mean, it's the HAL 3000 voice or whatever for reasons.
Yeah.
But
to call back to 2001: Space Odyssey. And but the makeup robots have female voices, and
so of course we attribute, and I mean it's part of our humanity that we tend to attribute these pronouns to things that don't necessarily need them.
And that could be kind of like a implied like sexism sort of thing where like, oh, you're a woman, you're going to go get your nails done at a robot salon. You would want it to have a female voice. That could be us impressing our gender norms on the robots, but there is no real reason for the trash robot to be gendered.
Exactly. And to seek a relationship, right? Now, this is tricky because we have been, for some reason, okay, how about this? For some reason, they gave their trash robot awareness. Why? I don't want my trash compactor to be aware. That's worse for it. That's torture. But he is.
More evidence to this is Amazon.
Yes. Boom. I hope you felt that, Bezos. Anyway. So he is aware, though. He has sentience. He watches movies and he collects things and he has a personality. And so is Eve. She is aware of her surroundings and has thoughts and feelings. She laughs. She giggles. And so because of this, you might say, well, human beings have this similar awareness and we seek out relationships because it's kind of part of being aware that you seek relationships. Fine. But the real issue originates from Hello Dolly. Because where is Wall-E learning about relationships? Over and over and over again, this one scene of this movie is telling him that he will not be complete until he has a female companion to hold his hand. And the overarching line that keeps coming back is, we're not going to leave until we've kissed a girl. So over and over and over again, his wee robot brain, which is doing a great job of befriending cockroaches and finding nifty Rubik's Cubes and sporks to collect, has absorbed must kiss girl, must be with girl. The fact that he can conceptualize girl at all is strange. Again, it's not like he's seeking out a girl Wall-E or anything like that. Like he knows not like him. And then he finds Eve attractive.
I mean...
Okay.
Yeah, I mean...
But he's got this idea in his head, right?
Yeah, right. But it's not, must hold hands with cockroach friend, right? Like, why not? Like, cockroach friend seems great.
Cockroach friend is great. And I would not often say that. Disney has a way of making bugs that normally freak me out to the point of paralysis, Alan can attest to this, look cute and inviting. And that would be Cricky from Mulan. Making him purple and smile and only have 4 legs instead of 6 probably helped. But the cockroach friend is cute. It squeaks, it acts like a dog, and has provided companionship, but not the companionship Wally has been told that he needs. And so, Eve arrives, he finds her attractive, and the other thing that has been impressed upon him is determination. I'm not going to leave until I've kissed a girl. So now he knows he's not allowed to give up on her.
That also feeds into his programming and personality a little bit, because his job is, I'm not going to leave until all of the bricks get made.
Right, exactly. He does a process and he fulfills a role and a job, and he's going to do that with Eve as well. And he's going to do it using the techniques that he has learned by getting close to her and following her around and making her gifts and ignoring the fact that she is plainly uninterested. It may have been a mistake for the most part that she shot at him with her laser gun because she didn't know he was there. But even when she acknowledged his existence, she was not interested. And what's worse is the movie sold the message that while she wasn't interested at first, he did hang around long enough to endear himself to her. And by the end, she was.
So this is kind of the unforgivable part of it, because it's not that it was unintentional. It was part of the writing that she would be hanging around, and she would just turn around and scan for a plant and turn around and scan for a plant and just didn't want anything to do with him. And his tenaciousness, that's almost too kind of a word for it, his just sheer obsession, that's much better, was what won him the day, quote unquote, and is bad. That's bad. That's not good.
Yeah, and in fact, this would be the unintentional lesson of the film. So I found one more lesson, even though they didn't want us to. Take no for an answer. Read the room. Nobody owes you a relationship, no matter how nice you are to them. The Starbucks barista is really nice to me when she hands me a drink. It doesn't mean I go like, great, we're dating now. People are just nice to each other with no obligation to go any further. And if someone says they're not interested, they're not interested. And hanging around them, waiting for them to change their mind is toxic and unhealthy. And it's not the friend zone, because that's you saying, I'm only being friends with this person to get to another level and not accepting their friendship, which is what they want.
Yeah, that's honestly like a really sorry way to describe friends in your head. If someone offers you their friendship, that's a gift in itself. And why are you saying that's not enough? Burp, burp, burp.
Right. Well, it was never friendship to begin with.
Well, it never was.
If you were seeking friendship only as a stepping stone. And that's one of the many, many, many reasons I hate this movie, Tall Girl, that came out on Netflix a while back, because it also followed this. She has a male friend who has been hanging around her, just waiting for the day she'll realize he's the one for her, to the point where he carries around an apple crate to stand on the day she realizes that she wants to kiss him. He carries it around with him everywhere.
That's really depressing.
That is gross. And so that's not how love works. Now, that's not to say, okay, I don't know how real we want to get here, but you and I started out as friends. And
yeah, but in a different context.
In a different context. We were friends, we were hanging out, and then we both realized that we wanted to have a relationship. And neither one of us had in their head, like, just gotta wait the appropriate amount of time until the other person, like, it wasn't a predatory thing. And if either one of us had said, no, I'm not interested in a relationship, both of us would have been happy to be like, okay, well, can we stay friends? Like, I enjoy hanging out with you.
You just were friends. You know, this happens.
We watched The Mummy a lot.
Yeah, we watched The Mummy. I mean, your friends are friends. You meet each other in different contexts, and then you just kind of hang out and you learn more about each other. That's kind of the healthy way to do it. Because okay,
it's not the only healthy way to do it.
I don't want to go on too much of a tangent. But one of the most toxic things about this is that Wally and everybody else who is stuck in the friend zone isn't actually in love with that person. They're in love with some facsimile that they've dreamed up in their head that's not real, that they've just came up with, that they wish would be real.
Yeah, I'm going to cut in here to say, by the way, because it just occurred to me, Eve is the only, quote, female that he's even encountered. So who's to say that he loves her and isn't just kind of like, well, the movie told me I have to find a woman and I finally found one. What would have happened if there were other Eves, that he saw? There were 5 of them on that ship and he didn't go, whoa, I should see if they all have different personalities, right? He was fixated on her.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is he goes, well, that's a woman. That's what's in Hello, Dolly. So therefore, I will like it. He does not know that.
Yeah.
Like she
Hello,
might
Dolly taught him wrong.
She might be really into trains. Like it doesn't matter.
He stalked her to her workplace. I mean, that's hardcore and bad. You should not stalk a woman or a lady robot who is inexplicably a lady, right? And so these robots shouldn't have had human sex or gender. Could they have still had relationships? Yes. Relationships can actually exist outside of human constructs of sex and gender anyway. But the fact that they went with this incel kind of hanging around her until she finds him endearing sort of thing is really obnoxious. And I don't like that narrative at all. And I think what I was trying to say about you and me is I wasn't trying to say that friendship can't blossom into a relationship. But I think it has to come from a place where both people accept that they are friends and nothing more first, where they're like, hey, friendship, this is cool. And then they realize kind of mutually, maybe I would like to take this further with this person, but I would also accept if they said no. I think the friend zone idea comes from a person who fake seeks to be somebody's friend in the hope that if they hang around them long enough, it'll turn into a relationship. So the friendship itself is never real. We had a relationship that was based on an actual friendship that existed first. And neither one of us sought the other out in a predatory manner. And so that's what I mean. Friendship can lead to relationships. And as you said, it's perfectly healthy in a lot of respects. Not the only way. I mean, OkCupid exists, but Tinder exists, but it can't be faked friendship. It can't be stalkerish. It can't be this friend zone made up thing, right? And so that's my rant about that. But Wally's definitely an incel, and I'm not on his side. I want Eve to tell him no means no. I was not interested when I first saw you. I'm sorry that you are so lonely. I'm happy to get to know you more and maybe we'll talk again, but you need to step off. You just followed me to my workplace. Like you rode a rocket ship to get to me. That's not valiant.
Have you tried meeting any other robots? There's the umbrella.
Yeah.
They're pretty cute.
That massage one.
Yeah.
Big forearms.
Little anger issues, but
I just think that that's not valiant. That's not determination or resilience. It's unrelenting. It's too far.
Yeah.
He is not endearing when you think about
it's
it.
It's fixation. It's obsession.
Yes. It's objectifying.
And I know sometimes like perfumes get named those sorts of words, but it's not good.
That's not actually, yeah. So, as you can tell, this movie got under our skin a little bit. That's why we started this podcast. And I'm sorry if I've been clearing my throat in the background or if I sound a little froggy. Again, I'm getting over a cold. It is just a cold, though. Don't have COVID. Yay. Getting my second shot on April 1st, so I'm looking forward to that.
I'm getting my first tomorrow.
And you're getting your first tomorrow, so hang in there, folks. We're getting there. One more time, I'll say you should check out Humbly. Like I said, it's not fully up and running. I mean, it's up and running, but it's not the charity function isn't there yet. But I hope it will be there soon, and I'm very excited for that. And thank you for helping us to maintain our marbles. I say that very sincerely this time because, as you can tell, this movie has really haunted us in a lot of ways. But thank you for helping us to maintain our marbles. Thank you for listening, and thank you for existing. We have some support sites. You know about them by now. You can become a patron. You can buy us a coffee. You can buy some merch. I haven't talked about this. We have some very simple and nice Not Again merch. I'm looking to make a little bit more. I'm actually designing in my head a Maintaining My Marbles shirt that will have marbles on a playground, just kind of happy marbles playing around and being maintained mental health wise. Because, playing on a playground is good for your mental health. And I'm also hoping to perfect the Academia Nut shirt that I wanted to make. My mom did a great design, but I kind of want to play around with it a little, and I haven't had the time because I have 2 children. So, but we do have merch. We have a Not Again logo designed by my fantastic mother. You can get it on a mug or a sticker. You can also get Potato Lady merch if you know who I am as a Potato Lady, but it's all the same store, all the same links. We share a lot of the support sites because, I'm me, regardless of Not Again or Potato Lady. It's still me. So all of that is in the description below, as well as I will try to find a link to more information about Humbly, or at least a link to the app. And until next time, friends, we had some adventures, we had some laughs. Remember that no means no, and we'll see you next week with Kung Fu Panda. I'm Rebecca.
I'm Alan.
Bye, friends.
Bye.